So I'm Rafael. I'm honored to be here. It's my first time giving a talk here at EclipseCon, and it's my first time in France as well. So I'm really happy to be here and to be able to talk about JNoSQL. That's an amazing API created mainly by Otávio Santana and the community, the Java community. And well, let's start. So I've just a brief explanation about me. So I'm Rafael del Nero. I created NoBugs project, and I've been launching Java Challenge on Twitter. Also, I created a series called Java Challengers in Java World, and basically I go deep into Java core concepts. I'm Java developer at Equifax, and also if you know someone that wants to move to Ireland or wants to work in Equifax, just let me know or just talk to me. I'm a SouJava member and also wrote a book, No Bugs, No Stress. And I'll just talk briefly about Otávio. Otávio is software engineer in Tommy Tribe. He's a Java champion. He's SouJava member as well. He's a Jug leader. He's a Apache, Eclipse, and OpenJDK committer. He's expert in many GSRs, and he's representative at JCP for SouJava. And let's talk about JNoSQL. So what defines JNoSQL databases? So it doesn't have fixed data structure. So that means that we don't need to know, don't need to create the tables in the database. So we can just create the Java code and insert the data, and then we can manipulate it as we want. We don't have ACID, but a base, and also we have 5 different types that are key value, column, document like MongoDB, graph, and multi-model. And we can use all of those types with JNoSQL in a very easy way. So I'll talk a little bit about the code, the framework. So JNoSQL is a mapping API, so it's quite similar to JPA. So basically, we're gonna put there at entity and then at columns, on the fields, and it's gonna work the same way. And we have the communication API, that's Diana. So it basically does the communication between Artemis and the NoSQL technology. And we have Artemis in the mapping area. So basically, what I told you about at entity is about at column, and we can map the whole data that are gonna to manipulate with NoSQL, and divide and conquer, because each part of JNoSQL does something that is highly important. And you can see all the types of NoSQL technologies: column, document, key, graph, and the data tier. So as I told you, it's almost the same as JPA, and we just do that, and it's gonna be working. So at entity and at column, so the same way. The only thing that changes is the import. And here is the document template on which we can insert entities. It's quite similar. So we create the podio, then we get an instance from a template, and then we're going to insert the POJO or update it. And here we have the query on which we return the gods. So Otavio likes a lot God and mythology. That's why we are using those names. So here is another important concept, repository. So the thing is here that we don't need to implement the methods. So just by the names, we can retrieve the data. So on JNoSQL, there is an intelligence that it's possible to retrieve data just with the name of the method. So we don't even need to implement this interface. We just need to inject this interface on the class we're gonna use, and then it's gonna work. It's like magic, but it's amazing. So here in the first example, we are going to find by name. It's gonna work. And here on the second method, we're gonna find by name and age order by name. So again, we don't need to implement anything in the method at all. We just need to put a name that defines what the method is gonna do, and it's gonna do exactly what you want. So you can use, you can implement this just with the method names. This is incredible. It makes our code really simple and clear. And here are the repositories, and you see how easy it is to change your NoSQL technology. So you just need to put a modifier on your injection, and you can put column, key value, and that's it. It's changed. You can go to MongoDB, you can go to Couchbase, you can go to Hazelcast or whatever NoSQL technology you want, just with a modifier. So it's incredibly easy to use. So it brings us a huge advantage because we don't need to know deeply NoSQL technology, because we can just simply use the Java code. And here I can show you a bit of the SQL language. So it's possible to create some queries inside JNoSQL technology, like JPQL. And here again are the entities that we just map them. Yeah, and that's it. And here we can see the differences between relational application and NoSQL application. So with relational databases, we can see that we can have to use JDBC, and we have to change drivers, and it's quite annoying. And with JNoSQL, it doesn't happen. So JNoSQL, basically it handles it for us. So that's it. But it's quite similar again. Doesn't change much. So one concept that JNoSQL use a lot, it's about domain-driven design. So what that means is that we can map our business on entities, and we are able to create a rich model on which we can put some business requirements inside the entities. I'm in favor of rich models. I don't know about you, but I think we can use solid principles if we create a rich model, if we encapsulate some important business requirements inside the entity. I think we can have some, we can reuse code more easily. But I think for complex requirements, I don't think it's a good idea to put inside an entity, for example. but when it's something simple, like simple calculation, I think it's totally suitable. And yeah, it's about solid principles. The framework use a lot solid principles. We can realize how easy it is to use. So the issue with ORM. So we know that with ORM we have sometimes battles with DBAs because because they want to create tables in one way and developers want tables in another way, and then we have this civil war. But with JNoSQL, this doesn't happen because we create our own structure on Java code. So I think we are with NoSQL technologies, we have more flexibility, and we can manipulate our data bars by ourselves, understanding the business, what's necessary to solve the problem that we have to solve. We just create the data by ourselves, like the entities and so forth. So we can avoid these problems with JNoSQL. So what is impossible to do with JNoSQL or with ORMs? We can't use object-oriented concepts on with databases. So we can't use encapsulation, we can't use interfaces, and yeah, we can't use those concepts. It's impossible to define a field as private or public in a database. So and also we can't use those concepts. So what OXM can do and what OXM cannot do. So as we know, there's no silver bullet. So there's no framework that solves every problem. We have to choose the framework according to the problems that we want to solve. So OXM, JNoSQL is not silver bullet. It won't be good for relational databases. Tables that have a lot of relationships, it won't be good. But what OXM can do really well is to insert information in just in separated tables, and it does it in a really quick way. So it's really fast and has a lot of performance. But as I told, there's no silver bullet. So we can't use a NoSQL technology with relational databases. We will make the system really slow. So JNoSQL and NoSQL technologies were not made to solve these kind of problems. So if we need to have a complex database, complex model, we have to use relational databases. Maybe mix them. Maybe in some part of your system that you need to insert an information that is just one table or two tables, or that doesn't have much relationship. We can just use JNoSQL or a NoSQL technology. And yes, so the main thing here is about not crossing the boundaries from the framework you are using. This is the same for every framework. So yeah, have to keep this in mind for every technology. Sometimes we think, oh, just because the technology is the last one and I want to use the best one. But it's not like this, just because of the most recent technology. you have to think, what's the problem I have with the business? And then once you know the problem with the business, you apply the technology that is suitable for that problem, not because, oh, it's the last, so I'm going to use the last technology because I don't care, because I heard it somewhere. But it's not like this. You have to know every technology for every problem and apply the right solution for the problem that we are facing. So I think the idea is this, to not follow something that you heard just because it's the last technology. It's not always like this. So a book that I recommend, Clean Architecture. So it talks about focusing on the business. So decoupling the business from your UI or your backend. So I think it's important for us to at first understand the business clearly and apply the right solution. I think a great thing to decoupling backend and frontend is about using REST service. And you can just ask for what you need in the backend, and you don't need to, the front end and the backend don't need to know each other. They can live kind of separatedly. So again, boundaries. And yeah, one thing that is good when using JNoSQL is that we don't have high coupling between Java and NoSQL technology. So with JNoSQL you can change very easily from MongoDB to other document technology, and you don't need to change your code. You just need you just keep your code, and you just change your modifier basically. So it's extremely easy. So I highly recommend you to use, if you need to use JNoSQL, NoSQL technology, highly recommend you to use JNoSQL, because Java community is really working hard in this framework, and we are Java developers and we want to work with Java, not with other technologies. We love Java, that's the truth. So I'm gonna show you a demo, and I'll show you how easy it is to use. So here we are simulating a container, CDI container, and we are creating a random number with an ID. Here's just a builder. So we are creating a person with address and with phones. So I'm going to show you the mapping here. So again, it's this, quite similar to JPA. So, and as I told you, only the import changes here. So org.jnosql, and here just the builder. Here document template, and so this is from the new version of CDI. So it's a new way to inject. So we are simulating a container, and we are injecting here basically. So we are injecting the document template that enables us to run some queries or insert. And the document template is a class from JNoSQL. So we don't need to know how this class works, we need to know what this class does. That so the implementation. So I didn't. I couldn't see the code deeply, so I think Otávio could give you the answer better. But we can just look here. So probably this implementation is the part of Diana, because Diana is the project that makes the communication between NoSQL technology and Java. But I can get this question and I can answer you on Twitter, and I can give you a more complete answer after talking to Otávio, and then yeah, I can provide you a more clear answer. So yeah, here we are just inserting the person and using the repository. So it's like I told you, it's just the interface, just with the name. So this will work. We don't need to implement anything. This is amazing. I mean, it's so easy. And yeah, let's see here. Person. So here we are initializing the CDI container. It takes some time. Here we are generating a random ID. Then we're going to create the person. Then we are injecting the document template class. And then we're going to insert the person. Here we are using MongoDB. So we have an implementation for every, I can show you, every NoSQL database that JNoSQL supports. So as you can see here, this code have the examples for Arango, Cassandra, Couchbase, Elasticsearch, Neo4j, GraphTitan, Hazelcast, and MongoDB. So you can get this code after. So here you can see that we are simulating an injection with the new version of CDI, and we select the person repository, and then we select the modifier that is of document because it's MongoDB. So yeah, with the modifier we get the repository, and again, as I told you, we didn't implement anything. We just injected it with the modifier of document. And that's it. Find by name, Duke. And that's it. It's found. So yeah, it's incredibly simple. That's it for the example. There's no secret. It's quite simple, like I showed you. I can so there is another just very basic configuration here, like this. So just one line of code, beans to configure CDI, and yeah, see, and the producer. So it's just it. So we have a class here, MongoDB document configuration, and we can get the manager factory. And yeah, we just use this constant, and we can just use JNoSQL with just those classes, basically. So it's very, very handy, very practical to use. Yeah, so I can show you again the producer. So it's the same thing. Configuration, manager factory, and then it's a producer here. Then the entity, again, it's just it. And getters and setters, constructor, the builder, and the interface that we don't need to implement anything. We just need to declare the entity there in the first generic and the ID type. And here's just an example of an insert. So we basically just created the container. This is not part of JNoSQL. We are just simulating the CDI container. And we are creating a person, and then we are inserting this person. So it's extremely straightforward.
Question regarding the entities. Can I have properties like not null or specific max lengths for strings or min lengths?
So yeah, you can use bin validations.
And then it will raise an error when I try to insert wrong automatically.
Yes.
Like we used to from GP.
Yes, we can use bin validations with the entities as well. So it brings us a really secure and we can trust on this API because the Java community is just focusing on this API really strongly, and I think it's just a matter of time to go to Jakarta, I would say. So yeah, and
discussion to see maybe pushing this into one of the file, which is cluster, and try it out.
That would be amazing, yeah.
So let me know. I will. Yeah, basically enjoy the mailing list and stuff to propose get this added to my profile.
That would be amazing, yeah. Let's go.
So in your app, you have jar, right, to start the CDI container. Also, you have MongoDB library in your application.
Yes, I can show you. So we declare here the dependencies. See here. So we have dependency for each module. So MongoDB, Couchbase, Hazelcast, GraphTitan. So yeah, we need the dependencies, and they are all on Maven. And the same for JNoSQL. JNoSQL is on Maven as well, and it's one of the projects from Eclipse Foundation. So yes, there is another poem here that is using the MongoDB driver. And the projects from JNoSQL.
So why do you need to include in the ARM module as a Cassandra module to do that?
To the other?
What's the graph JNoS?
It's because this example, it has all the JNoSQL technologies examples. So yeah, but we have all the examples here, and we can try all of them.
Does it mean that you have a specific driver for each database, and these are not the official driver, MongoDB driver, and so on? You have written your own driver?
So it's a good question. So I believe there are two parts there. There are there is a driver between the NoSQL and the Java application in Diana project, but I don't think it a driver to have this connection between NoSQL and Java was written for the JNoSQL technology. I think actually what was adopted here was a way to make it really easily just with Java and not thinking about the NoSQL technology. I can give you a more detailed answer later. I can give you a more detailed answer on Twitter, or yes, because we have just 1 minute. And here's the example of a query. And again, it's the same thing, almost the same thing. The difference is that we have this select command, and we can do it very easily with Java code. So we just say that from person where ID is equals to ID, and that's it. It's done. So if we need something more specific, a more specific query, we can just develop the query here with a different language. But if we need something straightforward, it's a better idea to create a repository and just to write the name there, like find by name or find by name and order by. So it's more simple and more clear. And that was it. I really highly appreciate your presence here. And I would recommend you to start using JNoSQL. So you can just go to projects.eclipse.org, projects, technology.jnosql, and you can get the dependency there, the maybe dependency. And I would like to offer you, there's a free ebook on nobugsproject.com that it's basically, so this project is about avoiding bugs and how to avoid stress, not working in a stressful project, because nowadays we know that bugs are really a serious problem, and it may take we can just get worried about, oh, there are a lot of problems in the company I'm working for, but there are some strategies to handle them, and we can. It's not just about code. It's about everything. It's about your team workers. It's about how you deal with your teammates, and it's about how you deal with negotiation, for example. Because sometimes you have to negotiate some technology that would be good for your project. And if you don't have the soft skills to negotiate and to achieve, to convince people to use a better technology, we may suffer a lot with that. And I just went through a situation in my company on which the wrong decision was made some time ago, and it was about reinventing the wheel. So reinventing the wheel is a big problem, because the first is that we are creating something in our project that we are going to maintain by ourselves. But if we just reusing things that the community implemented, or someone that is specialized on that created this, is much better than just reuse something because you want to create by yourself, and there's no point about it. So sometimes negotiate to your PO or people from business, it's a good thing. So yeah, NoBugs project talks about all of those things, about how to have a high quality software and avoid bugs and stress. That's something that we hated. And yeah, that was it. And if you want some, so as I told you, Equifax is hiring, and if you want to talk to me, I don't know, want to move to Ireland, and that's it. I appreciate your presence, and if you have any questions, you can send me on Twitter. We are going to give you a really complete answer. Yeah, or you can just ask something that, yeah, if you have any questions. The time is over.